Hi, I'm Kelly Paciaroni. I teach Italian at Pearl River High School. I've been there for the past 10 years.
Monica Calabritto. I am a professor, an associate professor here at Hunter College in the Romance Languages department. I've been teaching since 2001, and I also teach at the Graduate Center in the Comparative Literature department.
I'm Julie Van Peteghem. I'm an assistant professor of Italian, also in the Department of Romance Languages here at Hunter.
The initial idea was to connect high schools and colleges in the teaching of Italian. It's the first of many fruitful collaborations between secondary and college education that will take place here at our college in the future. We try to branch into different directions. So both, within Hunter, so the School of Education, there was actually Representative Christina, and the School of Arts and Sciences with Rob Cohen, and also other institutions like the Calandria Institute, and then high schools, of course, so that this will create connections for future workshops. And the idea that Kelly had actually to bring the students, I think it was a winning one, because the other high school teachers really liked it. I mean, I heard so many people coming to me and says, "Oh, it was great to have really the students coming to the workshop to see how experiential learning, how the students react to the subject, to the topic." So
Everything you will see here today was inspired by classes taken at the CUNYs. And by studying at Hunter with the accomplished professors in the Romance Languages department, we can truly put the content into content-based learning. So what you saw today was what I call experiential Socratic-based learning in the student-centered classroom, which encompasses a lot of terms, but basically it means that everything that we do is infused with meaning, like I spoke about in the beginning of the introduction of our part. And when you do that, students are inspired to organically learn vocabulary because they want to communicate about themselves and about the world around them, and also to connect with the past. And I think in their video portion, they talked about how they were so impressed to be 16-year-olds who are studying the Renaissance.
That's good, and that makes me very happy.
And one other thing that I wanted to add is that we also wanted to make a very obvious connection with all the art institutions we have here, so close to Hunter. So we live in a city that has hundreds of museums, and this was an opportunity to show how we can start in the classroom and bring the museum into our classrooms, but then we can also, as Kelly already does, send our students to the museum and experience the art that they have been talking about and studying in class, and really see it in New York in the museums and cultural institutions.
The narrative part jumps when she thinks of whoever you're thinking about, and because of the joyous emotion.
The students were very intrigued, and they asked questions that I didn't expect, because I mean, being a Renaissance scholar and knowing a little bit of art history, I was surprised that and puzzled at first by certain questions, but then I said to myself, well, this is like, I mean, a young person who doesn't know anything about Renaissance, and he or she is looking at a situation in a painting with colors, with line, with forms, etc., etc. And so this is what was my reaction. What I saw in the kids, and and maybe Kelly can confirm, is that they were interested, they were passionate about it, but they took it as like part of their experience. So they made it so they projected their own feelings and their own emotions into the painting, even though this painting was so far away from them.
I see like 17, 16-year-olds talking about the Renaissance and all these paintings, but through this method we've learned to like really be interested in it. So
also we use our Italian to connect real life things to like things you would see like other than like in the classroom, like things you would use in real life too.
And so it was an exchange between like a so-called expert, because I'm not an expert, and these young people who were probably looking at a painting of this kind for the first time, but eager to learn, you know, and to express also their Italian and their emotions linked to this painting. So it was like a sort of osmotic relationship.
Mm-hmm.
I think one of the things that they really enjoyed about this collaboration is for years they hear one voice and it's mine.
Okay.
And this, for them, was proof that, you know, I really do know Italian because I can interact with a native speaker via Skype, which is not easy to do. And with all of the technological issues and the hearing and the, you know, and then see you in real life like a celebrity come out of the screen. They even have a little theme song for her. Monica Calabritto.
Monica Calabritto. Monica Calabritto.
But for them, it was really a confirmation that all the work that they had put in is paying off because they can interact with people who are from Italy, not just their teacher who cleans up the language in a way that they can understand and break down. And they are pretty proud of themselves. Because they have acquired the language to really be able to speak about all of their emotions that they're feeling at this age.
That's great.
One of my pedagogy teachers at Queen's, one of her big mantras was, if you want better answers, you must ask better questions. And so when you require them to ask questions every single day for 5 years times 180 days of school, they ask, as you can see, they ask very good questions. My next quote is, I am smart enough to learn from my students. This is a painting, I don't know how well you can see it, but it's about the passing of knowledge through the sharing of light. And it's important to note that the teachers and the students are sharing the light of knowledge together. But I think that as a teacher, we are most influenced by the way that we were taught. And so one thing that I decided to do when I became a teacher was to be the teacher that I would have wanted to have, not the style of teacher that I had had in the past. So I studied Spanish for 7 years. All I got was worksheets for all of those 7 years. I never presented. I never interacted in any way, and there was no conversation. And I thought, I cannot pass 30 years doing this. I'm gonna not be able to make it in terms of boredom. So I invented this style where everyone's forced to participate, but after forcing in the first semester, it becomes a joy, really, for the following 9 semesters.
Yeah, and it's not just and since you're so well versed in the presentation because you've memorized it, you feel more confident to when people ask you questions, you know how to answer.
I teach, like Julie, we teach both literature and language, and I think that after having seen Kelly and talked with her and seeing the students in action, I think that I will be less scared than I was before of including subjects that may be too advanced, but if you find a way, if you find the key, you can do art of the Renaissance, you know, in a second or third semester of Italian. First of all, because we should get students from high school who are already, you know, at a certain level in the language, and then because if you create a platform, if you create a method, if you use a structure, students are eager to learn new things. Maybe, you know, sci-fi, but it may be also, you know, Raffaello or, you know, Michelangelo or Petrarch, you know. And so I think that I always included, you know, literature in my classes, but the visual component, I think it's so important because we live in a visual culture, and I think that students are attracted to aesthetically beautiful things. And so if you show them, I mean, beautiful works of art, they are intrigued. Right?
And it actually came from them, the idea. They told me paintings are like visual vocab lists with memory hooks. That was their phrase, not mine. I mean, I cleaned it up a little bit. But they were saying, you know, when they will never forget the word lucertola. Like, that's part of their daily speech now. Because they so enjoyed the experience with you looking at them.
Yeah.
One of the things that happens is that we, since actually our course numbers make that division between the lower level language classes, the more advanced classes that go to the major, and then our literature courses, that the risk is to see those 3 sets of courses as separate units. And I think what we really saw today acted out, like brought to life, is that you don't have to wait until you're an upper level language student to bring in that material that yes, is a Renaissance painting, yes, is a medieval sonnet. It works. We saw that there's no reason to wait, and that we should kind of find ways also to make bridges between those separate units.
And when you include these things, speaking is not an event anymore. It's just a daily activity.
Yeah, absolutely. I think it just depends on how you offer the topic to a student. Like as a teacher, you know, I always think, I mean, what is your public? What is your audience? I mean, if you have a 2nd or 3rd semester, you know, student in Italian, any other language, you know, they're not stupid, you know, they're not like 2-year-old, I mean, children. Of course, they have the handicap of not knowing the language well enough, but still, you can do things that are not, you know, like very, very basic. And I think that sometimes it's an insult to their intelligence to use, you know, our textbooks where they do always the same thing, you know, it's like the greetings and the holidays and, you know, this is so much stimulating for us, for me, you know, and for them, I think.
That's a good point you raised, that when the teacher is more engaged, the students are more engaged.
So it's a lot about us talking to each other, not just trying to memorize something. So, because when you memorize stuff, it's just kind of like, you just say what you memorize instead of actually thinking about what to say.
And you have to ask questions.
Yeah.
And by asking questions, you learn more.
This project also helped me kind of appreciate all the arts more, not just like paintings, but also poetry and literature, which helped me in my English class as well.
So that's, and I think that we saw a lot of wonderful enthusiasm here, and the students, you know, teachers were just like, wow. There was a woman, in not only one, but one in particular says, I've gone to many of this, and this is the best workshop that I've gone in the last 10 years. And he was like, yes. Kudos to us.